This is the epic tale of a unknown product. Maine Roast Protein Coffee. To the many battles that have fought, to the epic win that we're currently experiencing right now. And I'm gonna go to the beginning, December 2019. There is no hope for this product. Those were the exact words said to me in December of 2019. And when somebody tells me that something can't be done, I go Mel Gibson-y. I go Braveheart.
Would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell
Facebook
that they may take our
money,
but they'll never take our
profit?
So I'm gonna go into the nitty gritty. I'm gonna go into the good, the bad, and the ugly. So just a short disclaimer here. There's 1,000 ways to get to the same destination, okay? This is just, what I'm about to show you is just one out of the 999 ways, because somebody else out there is accomplishing the same thing, probably doing it even better in a very different way. That's what I learned, and I want to just tell you guys that this is just one way, just to give you guys an idea of the framework in which we scale these accounts. Because no one really gives you the holistic overview. And that's really because no one really sits in the place that I do, which is overseeing multiple e-commerce businesses scale. And that's the bench that I sit on. I sit on the bench that is the benchmarks bench. The bench of the benchmarks bench. First things we're gonna go over is the business numbers. Back in April, I went over the numbers for this store for what the first 3 months were like, January and March, and how we generated the first $100,000. Today, I'm gonna go over what's happened in the account since. So if you want the full overview and you haven't seen that first video, go watch it now, because I go over how we went from $0 to $100,000 in the first 3 months. Here are the business numbers. In April,
We grew 183% compared to previous month.
the only catalyst for revenue on this account is Facebook ads. So what matters to us is the ROI, because there's always going to be a gap between what Facebook ads is reporting versus what it's actually like bringing in. And so that's why we like to track both the ROI and the ROAS. In May,
We grew minus 19.41% compared to previous month.
because we started running out of inventory, so we scaled down. And then you have June, which again, we were out of inventory, so we scaled down even further. And
We grew minus 31.40% compared to previous month.
this month in July, we are scaling up and up. And so because of that,
We grew 247.50% compared to previous month.
the thing about e-commerce businesses is that it is just way more scalable. Like as an agency, my COGS is my labor cost. I cannot scale without adding more bodies in an agency. Whereas in an e-commerce business, as you scale, your labor cost it's not going to go up that significantly the way that I'm experiencing it inside the agency. And if you want to know those numbers, I cover it in my very first video about what the agency's numbers look like in comparison, if you're interested. In general, though, we come around to like the same EBIT. It's just really just two different types of business models. So the next thing we're gonna go over now is the team structure. And that looks like this. So the team structure is basically divided up into different parts. We have the ad buyer, we have the creative team, we have the email team, and then we have the CRO team, and then the influencer marketing team. And I am the senior eComm strategist. I cover the very high level stuff. I just give them the direction. I know what very big levers to pull. Aaaand is my ad buyer and is my e-commerce strategist. So he leads the initiatives. Then there is Dominic and Justin, who are my video producers. And then there's Dana, who is a graphic designer. Then we have our email team, who is Ingrida. And then we have our CRO team, which is our UX UI designer, Eugene, Skydris, who is our full stack developer, and then Ivan, our copywriter, who does copywriting for both the CRO team and the ads team. And then we have our influencer marketing team, which is Kristaps, who oversees the entire department, and then his right-hand person, Anna. So this is the entire team that we have used. None of these team members have any experience scaling an e-commerce business. They have all been taught from the ground up. Aaaand self-taught himself ad buying, just like I self-taught myself ad buying. And Dominic and Justin, they went to film school, but in film school, they don't really teach you conversion principles for video ads. Ingrida came from a law background, and she was very new to email marketing, and now she's killing it. And then we have our UX UI designer and Skydris, a full stack dev who's never done CRO, nor has Ivan, our copywriter. And Kristaps and Anna are also new. So how are we able to do this with new, inexperienced people? We just follow the data. We are learning from each other. And also there are now the vets on the team who have been doing this for 2 years now. And we're the ones that are teaching some of the newer people coming in who don't have that much experience how to do what it is that we do. But what I'm trying to tell you is that anybody can figure out what we're doing. I really do believe that. Anybody could learn it if you're just committed to it. But there is a certain point where you do have to start hiring some specialized people, is what we're learning now. But in the beginning, for the first 5 to 10 million, you can totally get away with hiring inexperienced people. And that's really just because it keeps your costs down. When you're just starting out, you don't want to hire specialists right off the bat. You don't want to burn through your money. So this is how we've been able to bootstrap, and we've been able to make our cost so low so that the businesses that we do scale, they can afford us too. The team is really, really important. And you really want to invest giving them the proper tools and resources for them to learn, to encourage them, and to give them access to the data so that they can monitor themselves how their work is translating into revenue, income, impact, because ultimately that's what we care about. We want to know, how is my work impacting the results? So if you set up your team to have access to the data so that they can see, oh, this video idea that I had is actually generating to the dollar amount, $5,000, they're going to be super excited to work and to show up every day, because we run a 100% remote team who self-manages themselves. And that's really one of my secrets in the agency is, everybody understands the impact that they're making. And that's why there's a lot of transparency there on my end. The workflow. I've designed a workflow that I adapted from how SaaS teams work, which is called Agile. It was first introduced to me by Hamza, who is somebody who mentioned it in his application to work in Sugaton.
I really believe that Facebook is amazing for that, because you can just plan and then on a weekly or 2-weekly basis, we can just review everything, all the data, make new assumptions, and have a new action plan and plan.
Each team basically meets every Monday in what's called sprints. And we discuss what happened in the last 7 days and then adapt our deliverables accordingly. In the ads team, we release an epic a couple of days before the sprint meeting, which is basically the overarching angle the creative team is going to produce stories from. Okay, so let me just give you an example here. Here's the epic that was just released. And the epic is protein coffee in action. And the theme is to go into the product and creatively get the audience to visualize themselves drinking it. So this person, goes into what the key messages are that we want to include in the creative, some fun facts, and then some ideation, and then other claims to mention. This gives the team a lot of guidance and a great starting point for this epic, which is basically the angle. The epic is always data backed, and it roots from an analysis from the different strategists on the team. And in that case, it was our copywriter who released that epic. And anyone on the team who has a deep understanding of the product, the customer, and the data, and the niche overall, they can release the epic themselves. So it doesn't have to be me, it doesn't have to be the ad buyer, the eComm strategist, and just that person. What I found was in what we do, which is basically doing a lot of tests to see what works, you want to bring different minds together in this sprint meeting for everybody to discuss and build on each other's great ideas. That's really the point of the sprint, and I found that it's been working very effectively for us. So what happens next is that once the epic has been released, the team then goes off on their own and they list ideas based around that particular epic. They list their ideas and then they prioritize those ideas, and they give a value, an actual numerical value for each and every idea that they have. And that's really important because every single person is going to have at least 3 to 5 ideas. And we have about, 5 to 6 people in the sprint meetings. We don't want to go through 21 ideas. We only want to go through the top ideas that are the lowest hanging fruits, basically. So here's an example of a prioritization sheet based on an epic. And so here's what it looks like. For each of these stories, they're going to place a value. So how much impact does this particular idea have against traffic? How much impact does it have on sales? How much impact does it have on brand? And then you want to put the weight, like basically number of tasks or days it takes to execute. So if the higher the number, right? So 3 hours. Here he put 8. So it takes 1 week for this particular idea to produce a video ad around, right? Whereas this one was only 13, so it only takes 3 days. And so then we go to the number of team members that it takes to execute. Basically, we're gauging the complexity of this idea. And then there's what we call intuition points. How strongly do you feel about this initiative? And then everything sums it up right here. And so then the only ideas that he's going to bring to the table during the sprint meeting are the highest value ideas, which right here he has a ASMR, idea that ranked at 70 points. But this is for middle of funnel. We don't want middle funnel. We only want top of funnel, right? So we're going to go over his top of funnel ideas, which is basically the durability. So the durability is going to be a great angle. And he's going to discuss that. And so that's the idea that he's going to bring during the sprint meeting. And then maybe one other idea. That's it. And then out of everybody's top ranking ideas, we then create what we call the stories. And that is going to be the final angles that we're going to produce in the next 7 days. And the video team goes through that process, as well as the graphics team goes through that same process too. And the graphics is responsible for creating the images, GIFs, graphics, whatever type of ads. And then after that, the epic is released a few days before Monday's sprint meeting. 2, Monday, we actually have the team sprint meeting. 3, Friday, all of the deliverables, i.e. the ads, are finished. And then for each and every angle, variations are produced, meaning that what we are testing for are variations of the first 3 seconds. So they will create multiple creatives that have very different first 3-second opening frames. And that is going to be the first thing that we're going to test during our creative testing. By Saturday end of day, it is basically done. And then on Sunday, the ad buyer uploads the creatives and then schedules for it to go live Monday at 3 a.m. ad account time. That is one cycle, which is the production cycle. Now I'm going to go into creative testing and what that looks like for us. So our creative testing goes through this exact process. The day 1, which is on Monday when it goes live, what we're doing is we are taking all of those angles that were created based on that epic, and we test it against the top performing audience, which is usually a single interest that has a large audience reach, which is large to us means like over 8 million. And it's been proven time and time again that audience performs. We test all creatives against that same audience over and over again, literally. Then what we're doing is we're trying to identify the winner. Now, when a winner is identified, which is usually by purchases and ROAS, we increase the daily budget on that particular creative that is winning. And then if it performs stable during the time that we've increased the budget, we duplicate it twice. The first duplicate goes to the top of funnel campaigns. These are your scaling campaigns, whether they're CBO, non-CBO, up to you. And then the second duplicate goes towards optimization. So even though it's a winning creative already, what we'll do is we'll further optimize it by size, like the size of the video is the highest priority optimization. After that, the second highest priority optimization is body text, which is that copy that you see above the ad on your Facebook feed. And then the third high prioritized optimization is the headline and then the thumbnail. And then after that, we test instant experience, we'll test URL destination, et cetera, et cetera. And whatever the winners are from like that optimization test, we increase the budget just to see if it'll perform stable when we're increasing the budget. And then we will then move it into the top of funnel scaling campaigns if it does. So that's basically the process we rinse, repeat week over week. And that's really sort of like the process that is contributing to the scale of the account. Now, I'm going to go into the highest priority for an account, for any account. The number one is finding product market fit. So one of the biggest reasons why this awesome little guy, we hadn't identified who we were targeting. Because if you look at this, like protein coffee, who would be interested in this? I mean, if you think about it, you're like, oh, protein coffee, like it's a protein shake with caffeine in it. Okay, well, I understand that. It's gonna give me like the double amount of the energy. I'm gonna get my protein intake. Is it for muscle increasing? But who is going to actually benefit from this?
Protein rocks.
Protein.
And the first thing you want to do in order to find out the real answer about who you should be targeting is you want to make sure that you have two things in place in your website. I go over this in my very first video, the first 3 months of this particular account, but I can't express it and emphasize anymore. We just started our own Sugatan e-commerce businesses. And this is the first thing that we're doing, which is that we are implementing this right here. What is the one thing you want to know about protein coffee that our website is missing, right? And it's from Hotjar. It is the poll feature. So it triggers when it thinks that this person is about to leave, and then it'll have this guy pop up. The second thing that we have is called a post-purchase survey. It is an app that we use called Inquire post-purchase surveys. Where it shows up is as soon as they actually purchase. So it says, thank you, Tanya. And then your order is confirmed. Then it has this, answer this question to help us make protein coffee even better for you. What nearly stopped you from buying protein coffee? And then they have 3 options, right? And this is basically what it looks like. Gives you the information that you want, which is, I haven't seen it locally. There's no decaf option. So it's just, when we first started this account, we had the question of, why are you buying this product? And if I take you back to January, we had the question, why are you buying this product? And most of them said weight management and morning breakfast. So then we looked at ads manager data to see who were the ones that were actually buying this product, and the ones who were buying it were mostly female. So we decided to hone in our messaging on weight loss. Prior to that, there was no clear targeting on a specific demographic to hone in and fine-tune our messaging around. That was one of the biggest, I would say, game changers, and it's the most important thing that you have to do first. The next most important thing is then finding the creative that most resonates with them most. And I'm gonna go over our top performing ads on this account. One of our top performers is what we call the testimonial stack. So the testimonial stack is exactly what it sounds like. It's a bunch of testimonials that we stack together, but we do it in a sequential format of different types of people. So here it is. So we use our influencer marketing team to get these kinds of girls. And one of them is our own videographer, who is the opener. She's the opening shot. So this is what a testimonial stack looks like. And it's basically telling a story, but it's just different girls that are saying this. And again, we've honed in that we want to target women. So that's why it's all women. And we talk about why it's a Starbucks replacement, because a lot of the demographic that we decided to target, they want to lose weight, but they probably do Starbucks like I do. So that's a testimonial stack. The second top performing ad is how to in general. This applies for all accounts, by the way. So here we focus on how to make a caramel frap in 60 seconds. And then we go over like some of the benefits. And then it's a how-to. So dump 1 scoop, blah, 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 pour 6 ounces of cold water, and it's just like a general how-to. And how-tos always work. Then the next thing is problem solution. So this is a type of ad that highlights a problem, which is watered down, tasteless coffee. Let's admit it, we all fucking hate that. And so then we talk about, okay, well, here's the next best thing, which is like this creamy, delicious protein coffee flavor. P.S. It's 100 calories. 80 calories and only 1 gram of sugar. So it's healthy for you. Look at how frothy it is. It's a healthier and quicker option. And we're going to add whipped cream to it because we know that making things look tasty and delicious and kind of gets your mouth starting to water. That's the type of visuals in food that we try to create. And then there's Holly. Holly is our video director. She was my very first hire for a video producer. Now we just love her and we try to get her to create a authentic review. Holly has an awesome, authentic, dry, wry humor. So she gives off as very authentic about her skepticism. She reflects every girl whenever they come across an ad, what they're thinking, what the hell is protein coffee and why would I want to drink it? And then she talks about a personal story that is very relatable, right? It's I have protein shakes, but they're clumpy and they're kind of gross, so she's just basically the consciousness, right? And there's multiple variations of this. This is a newer ad that is basically going, this is a newer ad that's going through optimization, but it's already giving us all of the ROAS, right? And so look at her, she has that authentic, it tastes just like chocolate milk mixed with a caramel latte. She knows what the triggers are for this customer psychology, and that's why she's the perfect candidate. We send her stuff to do an actual ad all the time. It was actually in January that I started noticing that GIFs and images were actually gaining traction. There's this one meeting where I go, GIFs and images will never convert as good as video ads. And then I was like, well, wait a minute, let me look at the data to see if that's true. And then I go into the data and I'm like, lo and behold, there is some traction that images and GIFs are getting. This was back in January of this year. Our graphic designer, we really put Dana to work on this, and she came up with some awesome GIFs and images that have gone viral essentially, which is very simple. Try all flavors, get free shaker. And this has gone, basically viral. Surprisingly weird. And that's really because the pacing, the shortness, how quick it is, they get it, they understand it, and people's attention spans are just getting shorter. So it's just ads that are just more direct and to the point and they understand it. It's just performing better. And here's another one that is gaining a lot of traction. So that's that one. And then there's this image that also gained a lot of traction. And it was just a comparison between a Starbucks drink and protein coffee. All of these in accumulation have actually generated the majority of the revenue that we've gotten up to this point. And there are more creatives in the pipeline that is demonstrating that viral component, which is awesome. All right, so that's it for creatives. Now, equally just as important is your conversion rate optimization, online store conversion over time. And this is year to date, so from January all the way up until today, July 21. And we started off at 2%, which is actually good, And then I remember right around March, or I think it was February, I was having a meeting with the stakeholders, which is the C-level executives and the founders. And I was like, I'm trying to get us to 5% conversion rate. By the way, I'm always that person that every single living person is always skeptical about everything that I have to say. I'm not even joking. I'm just a person that roams in the dimension of possibilities. And at this time, how the hell are you going to get this conversion rate up by 3% in February? But I knew it was possible. And today I'm still we're going to get to 10%. But anyway, so as you can see here, January, February, March, we start increasing the conversion rate. April, we go up to 4.2%. And then May has been 5.5%. We've almost reached 6%. And then we're scaling this month. So we went back down to 5.5% because we are targeting lots of new audiences, basically. So we have done 23 tests on just the top of the fold since January. Okay, and I'm not going to go over every single one of these 23 tests, but I'm going to go over like how you can just see the evolution of the conversion rate optimization that we've done. So this was like first version, which at first you're like, oh wow, that looks awesome, you know, like it's super clean, you know, it's like that looks like a great UX UI design, you know, whatever, right? Me and the former strategist on the account, we architect this. We put our heads together and we're like, okay, what matters to people most? And it was the taste. You know, it's protein coffee, but does it taste good? That's always like when it comes to food, everybody just wants to know, oh, it's healthy and it's great for me. It's all natural. It uses clean ingredients, but does it taste good? So that was like the first thing that we tackled was, does it taste good? And there's like some kind of Medium article out there who like, I don't even know who it's by, but he swears by this, like, I don't know, he just gave some bullshit thing about how this increased conversion rate. And this is why I'm super skeptical about all these articles that I read out there. Data is the only person that I report to. Revenue is the only person that I report to. Experience is the only thing that I really report to, because all of the other articles that are out there, like here I am, I'm demonstrating proof to you guys. Like there is no question about it that we have done this over the last 6 months. So whenever you guys like read Medium articles, just be like very skeptical in general. So here's version 1. Then version 2. This is what version 2 looks like. Completely different. And what we did instead was we give them a barrage of information right up front. And you could probably think like, wow, this is too messy. But what we found is that when it comes to like healthy stuff, like they're just really looking for like how many sugar, how many calories, how many carbs, right? Is it gluten-free? Is it vegan? Like that's, you know, and what we want to do is we want to highlight that right up front. So this is like what we did. And then we started to see better results on this lander. So then we went to 2.0, which by the way, like almost everything below it looks almost the same. Frequently asked question. It's so standard. It's not even funny. So now we didn't touch any of the bottom of the folds. All we did was just emphasize on this top of the fold. So as you can see here, we focus most on the calculator. My theory about conversion rate optimization is that you will get your first 1% increase if you provide your users with a lot of clarity about how much they're actually paying for your product before they check out. So, you know, the general feedback within the CRO team was like, this is too confusing. So then the second version was we added shipping free, even though it says it right here. But we made it really clear. And so that's been the biggest difference is we had a cross out here of this is what you would have paid, but you're actually going to pay $70. So people like to see the savings and they like to see the word free. And so we made it a lot more prominent. Even though we have here total savings, it actually improved the conversion rate. And that's all we changed. The next thing we did was we focused on this right here. So as you can see in the next version, we increased the image of this, and then we stacked all of the information. We actually did a test where we did just the product without the information here, and we found that the conversion rate dropped. And that was because people, again, just want to see the information that they're looking for, like how many fats, you know, carbs, how much sugar, how many calories, is it gluten-free, is it vegan? So that's when we A/B tested like a product photography without this information, and then product photography, and then this one actually converted better. And by the way, the right-hand side was still the same. right? I just didn't show you guys that version because that's one of the other 23. The next version after this, we actually also changed the calculator. So as you can see right here in the previous version, this is what it looked like. And this was the genius of our UX UI designer. And that's the thing about CRO, you guys, is that CRO is like not one person knows. You have to bring in the expertise of the UX UI designer who will give you the idea of a much more simplistic functional design that will improve the user's experience on your website. Then you have to bring in the expertise of the copywriter. And that's Ivan, who brought in this expertise, right? Then you have to bring in the expertise of your developer who will tell you whether whatever idea that you have for the UX UI designer, if that's possible, and also how long it's going to take to implement. And then you have your ad buyer, your e-commerce strategist. He has a lot of data that he's accumulated over time, which he also contributes to the ideation. So it's literally a collaborative effort. That's what I learned about CRO. I used to run CRO. I used to be like, I know what to do. And then I backed off. I literally walked away from this and I said, you guys figure it out. Here's the KPI that we need to hit in order to get to that 5% conversion rate. And you know what? Even though they had no experience, they did freaking phenomenal. They did a much better job than I could individually. And that was when I realized, oh, this is a collective effort. They meet a sprint meeting once a week on Mondays where they all bring their top ideas, each of them. And then they all self-organize and they go through these ideas together to come up with the best ideas. So that was the most, major impact. And then now we went back to, because this short, it for some reason just didn't convert. So we went back to the long tail version. And then we really simplified this part, this calculator. So if you can see, we simplified it. We just said free shipping, free shaker. So we removed all of this junk right here and all of this right here, the free shipping right here. We just basically, they decided to simplify it. Then the next version after that is they then highlighted this calculator right here. So they're just playing around with how the information is being presented on the calculator about how much they're going to pay and how much savings they have. This is our final version today. So that is the short version of the CRO tests that they're doing. And Skydrus, who is the full stack dev on this for the CRO team, he's the one that was fighting me on how to track these tests. I remember saying, no, you got to look at Ads Manager. And he was like, no, let's do Google Optimize. And I was like, I don't know about Google Optimize, but he actually, again, once I stepped away because I understood I was in the way and I wasn't really helping as much. One, because I'm limited in time. I'm running an agency and 7 other accounts at the same time. And two, I didn't understand the proper structure for a CRO team. I was in the way. And as a founder, you have to have that self-awareness where you start to understand that you're hurting more than you're helping. And then once you actually back off and you see how the team self-organizes themselves, because even though they may not be experienced at this particular thing, they are smart as fuck. And if you give them the time and the space to actually figure it out themselves, they will. And they did. And that's why they have basically increased this conversion rate like this. And now I'm going to step back in and I'm going to be like, okay, what does it take for us to get to 10%? I'm at the point where I'm just asking them, what resources, what tools do you need? Do I need to put money into this? Because I will. It's really just about, optimizing the team structure and giving them the information and the tools and the resources that they need in order for them to continue leveling up. So that's the CRO journey, guys. Yeah. That is the short version of it. Then the next thing, email marketing. Ingrida is our expert here, and soon David will do a podcast with her because she has helped us tremendously. But all I can tell you is that if you're not getting at least 45% of monthly revenue from emails, you need to watch the podcast. Is that what I put? You need to listen to the podcast. I don't know anything about emails, to be honest with you. I'm super blind to it. All I know is what is possible inside emails. And so whenever I do get with Ingrida, I just ask her, what can you do with emails? I just give her the direction. We've decided to focus on females' weight loss. Can you adjust your email marketing sequences and your flows to cater to that message? And she does a series of tests. We're just like a test agency. That's what we should be called, because all we do is we just do a series of endless tests. And that is what is contributing to our awesome trajectory of growth. Okay, guys, so that is the 6-month journey of this little guy, which is really hard to market and to scale. PS, but we did it. And what's next is we are going for 1 million per month in revenue. We'll go over what that journey looks like And what also is next is that we're preparing for Q4, which is Black Friday and Christmas, because the preparations start now. We've done 2 Black Fridays now, and we've learned a lot from the trajectory of those last 2 years. So this time we're actually making the right preparations, which is starting very early, which is literally this month. So we'll go over that in the next video. I'm sure David is going to go over that in another video. If you guys don't know, I did start my own YouTube channel. I am exploring YouTube as another revenue channel for our e-commerce businesses. And I'm trying to figure out what the workflow of that looks like, what kind of content actually people resonate with, all of that jazz. And you guys will learn all of the things that I'm learning too. But anyway, I'm providing a lot of content on that is outside of the e-commerce realm. That the team that I put together, we're just experimenting with all sorts of different content. So I would love to see you there. I'd like for you to just interact and ask questions, because I actually answer you guys' questions. Anyway, so I will see you guys soon. I don't know a good outro yet, and all these YouTubers and like video people have this awesome outro, and I'm just like, bye guys. So bye guys, thanks for watching.
So I can learn how to